Okay, we'll start with Article 12 of the Constitution. So I want to know, uh, Animesh, can you please explain what is Article 12?
Sir, Article 12 talks about definition of state, which includes government of India and government of state, authority, local authority, and all the cabinet ministers, secretaries, bureaucrats.
Okay, uh, basically whatever Animesh said, so I'll talk on those points only. So Article 12 of the Constitution talks about state, and it is referred only for this part only. This part means that part 3 for fundamental right, and from Article 12 to 35. This definition of state will be applicable to part 3 of the Constitution, that is for fundamental right. So keep in mind. And basically, if you go by the BEREC, then it says that government and parliament of India, government and legislature of each state, all local or other authorities within the territory of India, and all local and other authorities who are under the control of government of India. So we'll talk about six things. First, what is government? I mean government, union and state. Second thing, we'll talk about parliament and state legislature. Third thing, we'll talk about local authorities. And fourth thing, other authorities. Fifth thing, we'll talk about territory of India. And the last one, control of the government of India. So first thing, government, union and state government. Uh, so we'll start with parliament. Parliament is part of state, and parliament basically, can you please tell me that who are the part of Indian parliament, who comprises?
Sir, president, upper house and lower house.
Yeah, exactly. So consider it state. Parliament is part of state, and it is comprises of the President of India, Lok Sabha, and Raj Sabha. Thereafter, executive. In It is the organ which basically implements the laws passed by the legislature and the policies of the government. So those who don't know about executive, I have told you the definition of executive. Okay, just a second. There are people who are waiting to join. Yeah, that's the reason I ask everyone to come on the time. So executive is also part of the state, and in this, union executive and state executive both are part of the state. Now we'll talk about legislature. We have already discussed state legislature are the part of the state, state government are the part of the state. Now we'll talk about local authorities, because this is quite important thing, and hardly, I mean, people have very uh, they do not have much idea about it. So we'll talk about it. And anybody, can you please tell me that what is local authority? And second question is that whether constitution had defined local authorities or not.
Sir, panchayats, municipalities, trusts, cooperatives, they comprises the local authority, and it is not defined, sir.
Yeah, exactly. So if we have to define local authorities, then how can we define it?
Sir, authorities working at the ground level uh, uh, to basically help the members of their constituency.
The authority that is working at the grassroots levels and people who are not well acquainted with the political or the parliamentary sphere, or it's something which is day to day related and
Yes, yes, exactly. So basically, we can say first we'll talk about authority and thereafter local authority. So basically, authority means that a person or body which is exercising power to command. Okay, and when I'm talking about that exercising power to command, it means that the power to make laws or actually force them also. I mean, make laws, orders, regulation, bylaws, all these things, okay, which have the force of law. Second thing that it also includes the power to enforce those law. So in nutshell, we can say that those body which actually makes law and enforce them, implement them. Okay, so and those authorities which do all these things at local level, they are called local authorities. So we are talking in literal sense, we are not going what is written in the law, just simple definition. Now there is a act called General Clause Act 1897. It talks about local authority, and whatever Anime said, that it's section 331, section 3 subclause 31 talks about a local authority, and it says that it means municipal committee, district board, body of commissioner, or other authority legally entitled to or interested by the government within the control or management of a municipal or local fund. So this basically, this is the jargon definition, or this is the definition given by the law of local authority. Now we have seen that in local authority there's a local government. Now can you please tell me what is local government? Anybody? Anyone? If you can tell me what is local government.
I think the one which would keep a check over local authority.
Okay, and is there any provision in the constitution which talks about local government?
Maybe Panchayati Raj and
So
municipalities. Formation of them.
Any constitution, any schedule of constitution which talks about it? Any list
11th and 12th.
apart from that?
73rd and 74th
Article
Constitutional Amendment
40.
Act.
No, you don't need to guess. If you know correctly, then you should tell.
DPSP Article 40.
No.
So 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act talks about the local government, third form of government at the grassroots levels.
And there's
Schedule
something.
5 and 6.
Yes, exactly. So entry 5 of list 2 of schedule 7. List 2 which is related to list 2 of 7 schedule, it also talks about local government, and it says it includes uh, municipal corporation, improvement trust, district board, mining settlement authorities, and other local authorities for the purpose of local self-government or village administration. And second thing comes under the local authority, that is village panchayat. And there was a case, Ajit Singh versus State of Punjab, and in this case it was held that the term local authority, village panchayat, this term local authority comes under the village panchayat. No, they have said that within the meaning of term local authority, village panchayat is also included. So village panchayat is also part of the local authority. Okay, so far, do you have any doubt? if anyone has any doubt, we can discuss that.
So can you
Anyone?
please repeat the hello, sir?
Yes, yes, I am listening.
So can you please repeat the schedules which you just said?
I have said that
Which
entry 5 of the list 2 of schedule 7.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And Supreme Court came up with a test to determine local authority, which is not actually important for us from the purpose of UPSC. However, I can tell you if you want, because UPSC won't ask anyway. If I remember that UPSC hardly had asked question on Article 12 and 13. They might ask question, but they won't go into that much deep. So if you want, then I can discuss that also. Do you want me to discuss the test or not? Okay, one thing I want to ask, there is a question that whether in this definition of state, judiciary is included or not. This is the question.
No, sir.
The
And if
administrative
I,
part of judiciary would be included.
yes, Neha. And what about its judicial function?
For its hearing or the order, the reward which it gives for a case, that won't be included. That is, we cannot say that for particular judgment it has violated a particular fundamental right.
Yeah, exactly. So the judicial function of the judiciary will not fall under the definition of state. However, non-judicial function like administrative function and all, they'll come under the they can be challenged basically. Okay, so they'll come under the state. And most of the people are saying that I should discuss uh, these tests to determine that whether any entity will be state or not. So let's discuss them. Anyone has any idea? If you can guess also, I'm allowing you to guess.
So depending on how government has involved in that particular authority or anything.
Sir, any
Yes,
authority which can be challenged in the court for violating fundamental rights?
yes.
Sir, if some authority serves the purpose of the state, then it is included.
But what about the control and all? See, I tell you, there is a very famous case called Ajay Hasia case. And in this case, Supreme Court, you know, came up with this test also, and they have said that if any body which is financially, very simply, I'm telling, there are other things also, but these are the things which will be very simple and helpful for you. If any body is financially, functionally, and administratively dominated by or under the control of government, then this body will fall under the definition of state. So once again, I'll repeat that if there is any body which is financially, functionally, and administratively dominated by or under the control of government. Okay, fine. So this is all about Article 12. Now we'll discuss Article 13.
Sir, one question.
Yes.
When we were studying this article 1213, there was one thing mentioned in one case that regarding airport something case. I don't clearly remember what the case was, but it asked that whether the airport authorities comes under the state or not. So it actually comes under state, but how do you define airport authority as under the state? I want
See,
to.
Yeah, one thing I'll tell you that it depends case to case. When I'm saying that financially, functionally, and administratively controlled by the government, so the court will have to decide whether they are controlled or not. It's a very simple thing. That is the reason, be it the case of LIC, be it the case of ONGC, everything. It has gone to Court, and then Supreme Court has decided. So they have said this is the test, okay, but actually the test will be applied by the judiciary itself. We cannot apply that test, if I have to say.
So, sir, in broader term, most of the things like if airport authority and everything, they comes under state. So, in conclusion,
I'm not saying this. I'm saying most of the things are, say, for example, Delhi Transport Corporation, ONGC, Electricity Board, okay, comes under the definition of state. However, NCRT is not included in it.
yes, sir, it is
So,
specifically not mentioned. That's why I asked.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying, that we cannot say whatever Supreme Court has decided, that we can say, but we cannot talk about other bodies. So airport, yes, Airport Authority of India is under the definition of state under Article 12. Okay, if you are talking about that, but there are some entities which are statutory in the nature. However, they are not the part of this definition. They do not fall under Article 12. So are you getting what I'm saying?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anyone? Anything else? Okay. So now we'll discuss Article 13. So if you can tell me about Article 13, what does it talk about?
Sir, any law, legislation, order, bylaws which contravenes anything in Part 3 shall not be a law.
Yes, anyways. Anyone else? So my question is that what about those law which were before the commencement of the Constitution of India?
They are also included.
Yes. So first of all, we'll talk about Art Article 13(1) of the Constitution 13(1), and it talks about the laws which were present before the Constitution came into force, and it says that if they are inconsistent with the provisions of the part of this article, will be void to the extent of the inconsistency. Did you understand what I said?
So please
Anyone?
repeat.
Okay. So I am saying that if there is any law which was existing before the commencement of the Constitution, and some part of it is basically inconsistent to the provision of this provision of fundamental right, basically we'll simply talk about, then it shall be void. So say for example, if there is a act, say section 10 of some XYZ act, and this was the act of 1930, okay, and what happens that it has maybe two or three clause 1, clause 2, clause 3. So what happens that clause 1 and clause 1 2 are in the conformity of fundamental right. However, this third one is violating fundamental rights. Then what will happen that this entire section will not be struck down, only this part will be struck down. So this is what Article 13(1) says. Did you understand what I said?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
like in the example of IT Act,
Yes, sir.
Section 66.
Yeah, that is Anime's basically this 66A is post-constitutional. It's not pre-constitutional. So we were just talking about pre-constitutional 13(1).
No, I'm asking that, like, example that particular section of
Yes.
IT Act was
Yeah,
that
66A. The case name was Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, if I am not wrong.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so in this case, what happened that everybody knows about that what happened in Mumbai, that Sahab Thackeray died, and thereafter two girls, one came up with a post and another actually supported her post by commenting on her post. Then they were arrested. So this under this law, section 66A. So same thing, but challenged by Shreya Singhal, and then the Supreme Court of India said that this part basically is against the constitution. It's unconstitutional and against the freedom of speech, and it does not, uh, come in the consistency of Article 14, 19, and 21. So whenever Supreme Court is striking down, then they'll consider 14, 19, and 21 in most of the cases, because all these things in most of the cases all these things are involved. So Article 13.2 talks about it. 13.2 says same thing, that which are those law which are passed after the constitution came into force and they violates provision of this part, then they shall be strike down. So if entire law is violating the principle of provision of this particular part, that is fundamental right, then entire part will be strike down. And if any particular part of that section is in the violation of the constitution, then that part will be strike down. And there's a doctrine. So I want to ask the name of this doctrine. Which doctrine is this?
Doctrine of eclipse.
No,
Basic structure.
no.
The doctrine of severability.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing, whatever we have discussed, that if any law which is inconsistent to the provision of part 3, then it shall be strike down. So it can be wholly or some part of it. Okay. So it says that rest of the parts say there are 5 clause and 3 clause are inconsistent to the part to this part, then they shall be strike down, and these 3 provision will be unaffected. They'll be there. So this is what doctrine of severability says. And do you know what doctrine of eclipse says?
Sir, any pre-existing law can be eclipsed by a new law. I'm not fully confirmed about that.
Well, if some new law is made, then the
Sir,
old
the
law will
earlier law does
simply
not.
undergo the new law, and whenever the new law elapses, then the old law will again come alive.
It is covered by the new law. Means it is there, but it is not working. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, now you are completely right. That actually it is there, but it is not dead. It is eclipsed by the fundamental right, and it can again be alive through some constitutional amendments. It's very simple. Okay. Have you heard about doctrine of waiver?
No, sir.
Okay, so if I say for example, I belong to some particular community which gets the reservation. Okay, and I'm filling up the form of UPSC. So in my category, I just say I'm a general person. Okay, so what does it mean? My fundamental right is saying that I'll be having maybe 27% reservation. If I belong to certain category, I may have 15% or I may have 7.5%, and some other. Okay, I may have 10% also. However, I don't want, I may belong to this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay, but what I do, I just fill up general. Then I cannot, because, so what does it mean? That I have waived my right. This reservation was giving me right, some sort of concession in the form of right. However, I have waived that right. once I have waived that right, then I cannot reclaim it. Did you understand what I said?
Yes, sir.
एक बार आपने किसी चीज को छोड़ दिया, एक बार आपने किसी को गिफ्ट दे दिया, ठीक है, तो गिफ्ट देने के बाद में फिर ये नहीं बोल सकते हो कि वापस मुझे दे दो वो गिफ्ट, ये तो मेरी चीज है। इस मतलब उस टाइप का कुछ है कि वंस यू हैव सेड दैट आई डोंट वांट दिस राइट, देन यू कांट क्लेम दैट राइट। आपने बिलिंगली उसको वेव ऑफ किया है। आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट रिजर्वेशन इज फंडामेंटल राइट. What I said, I guess you did not understand. I said that fundamental rights has the provision of reservation, which gives me some sort of right or maybe some sort of concession in the form of right. That's what I said. I did not directly say that reservation is a right. Now we'll discuss. Do you have any question if you want to discuss this?
So could you just repeat what you said?
Yes, could you once come again?
Sir, could you just repeat what you just mentioned, like जो आपने भी समझाया कि हम क्या wave off करते हैं और voice break हो रही थोड़ी सी तब।
अभी आपको सुनाई दे रहा है?
हाँ जी सर।
ठीक है, तो मैं आपको एक चीज बताता हूँ कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल फंडामेंटल राइट्स के बारे में बात नहीं करेंगे, ऐसी सिंपल राइट के बारे में बात करेंगे। एक आपका राइट, आपको वोट करना एक आपका राइट है। यू हैव राइट टू वोट, ओके। नाउ व्हाट यू डू दैट, आपके पास अच्छा खासा पैसा भी है, ठीक है, से 50 लाख रुपए है आपका, और इसके बाद में क्या होता है, नहीं ये ज़्यादा अच्छा एग्जाम्पल नहीं रहेगा, कुछ दूसरा एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ, वो ज़्यादा बेहतर होगा। ये भी हो सकता है अगर आप, जैसे आपने बिलफुल, हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट बिलफुल डिफॉल्टर?
Yes sir.
ओके, सो जो लोग बिलफुल डिफॉल्टर रहते हैं, हो सकता है कि उनके पास पैसे हों, ठीक है, बट अगर आप बिलफुल डिफॉल्टर बन जाते हो तो आप फिर वोट नहीं कर सकते हो। तो एक तरीके से वो आपने जानबूझ के बिल्कुल ही अपने राइट वेव ऑफ कर दिए, क्योंकि वो एक कोई कंडीशन आई थी आपकी कि आप पैसा पे कर सकते थे, बट आपने नहीं किया उस पैसे को, और उस कंडीशन की वजह से आपने अपना वो राइट को वेव ऑफ कर दिया। अब आप जाके कंटेस्ट नहीं कर सकते हो कि मुझे जो है वोट, वेदर आई दैट आई शुड बी अलाउड टू कंटेस्ट द इलेक्शन, और आई शुड बी अलाउड टू वोट। एंड सिमिलर थिंग व्हाट हैपेंस दैट you have got some right, okay, and you don't want to take that right, so it simply says, doctrine of Weber says that a person can put aside his right if he wants to. तो आपको कोई राइट मिला है, अब मैं आपको कैसे समझाऊं किस राइट के बारे में बात करूं, आप मुझे कोई एग्जांपल दो किसी राइट के बारे में, किसके बारे में आप बात करना चाहते हो तो मैं उसको एक्सप्लेन करूं। कोई भी राइट बोलो आप। अच्छा चलो मैं आपको एक सिंपल चीज बताता हूं, ठीक है। जैसे कि हम लोग बात करते हैं, जैसे आपका कोई फंडामेंटल राइट है, उसका वायलेशन हुआ, उसके बाद आप यू गो टू हाई कोर्ट अंडर आर्टिकल 226, ओके, एंड you have got two things, one is under 226, another is under 32। अभी आप क्या करते हो कि आपका कोई फंडामेंटल राइट वायलेट हुआ है, एंड देन यू गो टू हाई कोर्ट, एंड इन हाई कोर्ट देयर इज काइंड ऑफ सेटलमेंट। वो आपको एक फुल रेमेडी नहीं मिली है, बट एक से 50-50 टाइप का हो गया, एंड देन यू राइट इन हाई कोर्ट दैट आई एम सेटिस्फाइड विद दिस जजमेंट एंड आई डोंट वांट टू गो फॉर एनी मोर प्रोसीडिंग। उसके बाद आप अपील नहीं कर सकते हो उसके लिए। समझ में आ गया आपका?
Okay
आपको
sir. हाँ जी सर।
ठीक है, एक बार आपने उसको बोल दिया कि मैं अब अपील नहीं करना चाहता, तो फिर उसके बाद यू कांट गो टू सुप्रीम कोर्ट एंड अपील अगेंस्ट दैट ऑर्डर। तो यही है। नाउ वील डिस्कस आर्टिकल 14। आर्टिकल 14 हम लोगों ने डिस्कस कर लिया था, तो मैं चाहूंगा कि आप में से कोई एक बताए जिनके साथ मैंने ऑलरेडी डिस्कस किया था।
सर एक equality before law and equal protection of law.
Sir, it talks about
So,
equality.
Equality before law
and equal
and
protection of law. So
equal
equality before
protection.
law means that in the eye of the law, everyone is equal, and whereas equal protection of law says that like should be treated like and unlike people should be treated like unlike. It should be in the given circumstances, everyone like the government or like the law should try to treat everyone in an equal way.
Okay, so I'll say very simple thing about it, equality before law, that what it says कि आप सबको equal कर दो. It says to parliament or legislature that make everybody equal by bringing some law. So it wants to create mechanical equality, and we all know that it is not sustainable because natural equality is sustainable, not mechanical. आपने अगर इसको create किया होगा because the thing is that all person are not equal by nature, attainment or their circumstances. So even if we create mechanical equality, it will result into injustice. So this is a negative concept and it says that सबको equal बना दो एंड उसी के हिसाब से फिर देयर शुड बी लॉ, और जब लॉ होंगे तो सबके ऊपर एक जैसा लॉ एप्लीकेबल होगा, हर चीज एक जैसी होगी क्योंकि इट ट्रीट्स एवरीवन इक्वल कि सब एक जैसे हैं. बट इट सेज कि देर आर क्लास ऑफ पीपल बेसिकली who may be unequal. So there is a person A, there is a person B, and there is a person C. So this person may have some different circumstances historically. ये बहुत इसके साथ अन्याय जो injustice हुआ हो और this Mr. A is not doing really well because of historical reasons or because of some society, some reason which are prevailing in the society or economical reason. There may be multiple reasons for not doing good of Mr. A. But Mr. A himself is not responsible. The circumstances, the society, the history is responsible for Mr. A's wrath. Okay. And Mr. B is doing okay. He is a person from middle class family and he can do well. And Mr. C comes from elite class family. So what does it say? That if Mr. A has been subjected to many cruelty in the past, therefore there should be some sort of provision which can bring Mr. A forward or at par with Mr. B and Mr. C. This is what equal protection of law says. Did you understand?
Sir, do you
Yes,
mean
sir.
equality before law is a hypothetical concept,
Yeah, it's kind of hypothetical.
but it is mentioned in the Article 14?
Yeah, it is mentioned in the Article 14, and one more thing I want to say that it's not actually hypothetical, it's ideal, very much ideal. And you know that ideals are good to hear, but practically kind of impossible. So it's a ideal one and it's a practical one.
Oh, okay, sir.
किसी को कुछ और पूछना हो, अगर आपको डाउट हो इससे ज्यादा, मतलब मेरी अनिमेश लास्ट टाइम हम लोग एक एग्जांपल डिस्कस कर रहे थे, आपने कुछ बोला था, मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा है, बट वो एग्जांपल काफी अच्छे से डिस्कस किया था हमने.
Actually, if there is a packet of biscuits, so GST for poor and rich will be same. So that is equality before law.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली. तो अभी इसके बारे में हम लोग वी कैन डिस्कस. सो से फॉर एग्जांपल दिस इज अ पैकेट ऑफ बिस्किट. Now government has come up with GST and government is saying maybe 5% or maybe 18%, whatever they want, they are levying on the packet of biscuit. So now again we'll call Mr. A, Mr. B and Mr. C. So again same thing for Mr. A, Mr. B and Mr. C. So even if it is 18% or 5% or 10%, because this provision is saying that इस बिस्किट के ऊपर सेम टैक्स होना चाहिए, 18% होना चाहिए, क्योंकि because everybody is equal and they can pay. So this is what equality before law is saying, and government has come up with this taxation system and they have levied 18% on it. So now he used to earn maybe 100 rupees per day, he used to earn 200 rupees, and we should not talk about Mr. C because I don't know how much he earns. So what happened that the cost of this biscuit is 100 rupees and now they levy 18 rupees on it. We are just taking example. It's not a real fact. I mean real figures. Just taking example. Now earlier what was there? There was no tax. Okay. So he was paying 100, he was paying 100, he was paying 100. Now what happened? Suddenly 18 rupees, another 18 added by the government. And the reason is that government is saying that everybody is equal, therefore they should pay equal tax. Now what happened that अभी इनको तो इस 100 ही रुपए कमाते हैं पर डे का, तो इनका तो 2 दिन, एक दिन का कमाई प्लस अनदर डे का कमाई होगा, उसका कुछ पार्ट जाएगा तभी खरीद पाएंगे. इनके लिए फिर भी मैनेजेबल रहेगा और इनके लिए कोई दिक्कत की बात नहीं होगी. बट सी हियर दैट people who are not good, because all these people are not equal. We are just taking economical factors. Economically they are not equal and therefore they'll be facing difficulties. This person, because of this taxation, this person is trying to be coming out from his poverty, but again he won't come out from poverty because now he needs to incur 18 rupees. So this is just because of equality before law. But what if that government says, okay, we are levying 18 rupees, but those who are earning 100 rupees, for them we are giving 13 rupees subsidy. We are providing 13 rupees subsidy. So for those people it will be in 105 rupees. समझ में आ रहा है आपको ये सिस्टम?
Yes, sir.
तो इन लोगों के लिए 105 रुपए में होगा, तो फिर भी ठीक है, इट्स बेटर फॉर देम, एटलीस्ट दे नीड टू पे 13 रुपीज लेसर. सो दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लॉ, बिकॉज सब्सिडी इसलिए दी जा रही है. नाउ कोई गवर्नमेंट के पास गया, ये लोग इनके दोज हु आर representative of Mr. A or B, they say that C, even if you levy 200% tax also, it won't affect C, but it is affecting us. So at least provide us some sort of concession, because we are not equally situated. Our economic situations are completely different, and that is why the government has provided 13 rupees. Okay, so this is all about equality before law and equal protection of law. Now if you have any question, you can ask.
Sir, it
Sir,
means it has some application, equality before law.
Yes.
The GST thing.
Somebody was saying something.
Sir, it means it has some application, like you mentioned the GST example. So it has a practical application, equality before law.
Yes, it is. It has.
Okay, so
I have just taken random example. Okay, but if we see through the through our economic lens and other way, then actually it has.
yeah, right.
But our income tax system is kind of progressive.
That amounts to equal protection of law.
Yes. Are we clear here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we'll
Sir,
discuss.
also,
Yes.
I needed to mention a thing from the last topic. The topics you mentioned, like doctrine of waiver and everything, where it is mentioned, and I haven't read anything of that sort. So where it is given, or where?
Your voice is not coming, Rishu. Can you speak little louder?
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are now.
Yeah, sir, what I was telling ki the last topics you mentioned, like the doctrine of waiver and everything, I haven't read anything of that sort. So where is that given? Where is the topic mentioned?
See, first thing that UPSC won't ask it, and whatever I have told you, that is more than sufficient. Okay. For just general knowledge,
So
I
I
have told
wanted
you
to
all these
ask.
things.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
sir.
Gargi.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Gargi.
So I wanted to ask one question which came in the prelims last year. So the
Yes.
Constitution of India express provides for judicial review to safeguard the citizens' liberties and to preserve the ideals on which the Constitution is based. So I wanted to know whether this statement is right or not.
So for me, it's a wrong statement. because judicial review is the device which was actually provided by the or innovated by the judiciary itself. However, Article 13 talks about it, so that way we can consider, but it doesn't talk about judicial review. But the judicial review has its source in Article 13. So, and we know also that in 1973, the Supreme Court has come up with this doctrine of basic structure, and there he said that judicial review is the part of the basic structure. So, if I have to answer that, then I'll say it is not explicitly. Inherently, it is, but not explicitly.
But sir, Lakshmikant has mentioned that it
अरे लक्ष्मीकांत
expressly.
भगवान नहीं है ना. लक्ष्मीकांत की एक बुक है, आपको आई एम टेलिंग यू, द बुक नेम इज एमपी जैन. लक्ष्मीकांत ने एक एक चीज वहां से कॉपी पेस्ट की है.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है. तो आपको थोड़ा सा ये सब जुडिशरी का ये सब पढ़ना चाहिए ना, तब आपको समझ में आएगा. ठीक है.
Sir, I'll try to.
This, yeah, that is my opinion, because from my side, I'll say it is not, very frankly, because explicitly constitution does not talk about, and nowhere it is mentioned judicial review. However, Article 13 has that much thing, and then Supreme Court has interpreted it, so it came by the interpretation.
Okay, sir.
Anybody else? Should we discuss Article 15?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so who is going to tell me about Article 15? Now, not animes.
The prohibition of discrimination on the grounds of race, caste, sex, place of birth, and this is another religion.
Religion.
Okay. So you're saying that Article 15 prohibit the discrimination on the basis of race, religion, caste, sex, and place of birth, right? So if I am discriminating somebody, will I be covered under Article 15? 15, but I'm talking about 15(1). I'm
No, sir.
discriminating by.
Sir, because
So it is
15(1) is against state and 15(2) is for private individuals.
Yes, exactly. That 15(1) specifically prohibit the state to discriminate. अभी मैं आपको एक क्वेश्चन पूछता हूँ. Now I want to ask one question. Let's say, for example, Mr. X, who is from Australia, okay, he comes to India, and then government of India discriminate with him. So whether he can challenge this discrimination of government of India in Supreme Court or not under
No, sir.
Article 15(1).
No, sir.
Why can't he?
No, sir.
Sir, it
Article
is only
15
for
is applicable
citizen.
only to citizen.
Yeah, it is only for the citizen. And who are the citizen of India?
So who are born here in India
अभी अमेरिकन भी
Has
born हो सकता है
citizenship
इंडिया
of
में.
India.
Citizens, it is defined in the Citizenship Act of India.
Yes. So basically,
Citizenship Amendment Act, sir, 1955.
Article 6 to 11 is related to citizenship, and 11 does not talk about anything citizenship. It just talk about that law, that and those law made by the Actually, state and state means that parliament, this shall not fall under Article 368. Any amendment made. So I think Article 11 talk about, and 6, 7, 8, 9 have some sort of criteria about the citizenship. And this Citizenship Act 1955 talks about citizenship. So Sonia Gandhi was not citizen of India, and how she became citizen of India? Or maybe now we should not talk about Sonia Gandhi, we should talk about Adnan Sami.
Sir, for Sonia Gandhi, it was registration,
Hmm.
and Adnan Sami, it is again registration only.
Hmm. So maybe we'll talk about later on about citizenship. Just normally I was asking. So, and one rough idea I'll give you, very simple, that if your parents are Indian, then you are Indian simply. Okay. And if your any of your parents is Indian, then you are Indian. And okay, one question I want to know now, we should not discuss this thing because otherwise it will go in some different direction. So we'll talk about now Article 15.2. And
S- Sir,
can you
one
please,
one doubt.
yes, Prerna.
Sir, we were talking about citizenship. So basically, registration and naturalization are two different things, no, sir? Because
Yes.
registration takes place when you were earlier Indian citizen, then for some reason you were not the
No,
citizen of
no,
country.
n- no, it's not like that. Sonia Gandhi was not citizen of India and she got registered. So there are
But
certain conditions which you need to fulfill.
But sir, I have read this somewhere because when I looked up for the difference between registration and naturalization, so it says that registration is for those who were once Indian citizens but had for some reason left Indian citizenship, and naturalization is for a foreigner who wishes to acquire Indian citizenship. Like, this is what I read about with this
No.
with
Actually, in
regard to this.
registration, suppose you are foreigner, if you turns wife of an Indian, then you can register as Indian.
So this was, I mean, this was the definition that they had given for the difference between I don't know if it is correct or not, but then when I had looked up for the difference between the two, so this was the difference that they had mentioned.
See, I won't talk much about on that because one thing is that I read it very long back, so I forgot that, to be honest with you. Okay, so I will not talk much about, but whatever you are saying, uh, with my best memory, I am not agreeing on it.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Now we'll discuss Article 15. So first part we have already discussed. Now 15.2. Anybody except Animes, please tell me about Article 15.2 and except Gunib also. Anybody, because most of you have read this article, Article 15.2.
So no citizen can discriminate on the grounds same as mentioned in one.
तो वो डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कौन कौन सी जगह हो सकते हैं?
So public places and restaurants, public restaurants, shops,
Okay.
hotels. Yeah, mostly public places except private places.
Okay, so I have a question that this part B of Article 15 subclause 2 say clause 2 says part B that the use of bells, tanks, bathing ghats, roads, and places of I mean those who are public resort kind of thing. Okay, and those are maintained wholly or partially out of the state fund or dedicated to the use of general public. So I'm not talking about that they are particularly funded by the state fund, partially or wholly. I'm just talking about that they are right now there is this bell and it belongs to me. Okay, and people from all community are coming, and there is a good there's a tree of banyan tree, so everybody is sitting there and drinking its cold water and resting for some time, and then it's on the road. Now what I do, so basically I have dedicated it to the use of general public, because anybody is coming and anybody is accessing. I'm not discriminating anyone. Now what I want, that I have said that now people from X community cannot come in my this property, or in this thing, this banyan tree, and they cannot drink water from my well. So whether it's a discrimination or not,
Discrimination.
but this is my property.
Discrimination, sir.
So if it is discrimination, then that person can go to High Court or Supreme Court against me. High Court under 226, Supreme Court under 32. Whether he can go or not.
Yes, he can.
He can go.
Why
So
why
he
can
can
he
go
go?
under Article 220.
Why can he go? This is my
He
property,
can.
and earlier I wanted to do some charity, so I was allowing people. Now I don't want to do. It's my personal choice.
Because it is clearly mentioned in Article 15.2 that well tanks and public places, resort and public parks, they would be, no one will be discriminated over these places.
But it is saying that wholly or partially funded by the state or dedicated to the use of general public. Now I'm not allowing general public to use it, because this is my property. Now there is a restriction. I'm saying those who will enter, if people from X community will enter in my property, then they shall be prosecuted for for trespassing, illegal trespassing.
So here you are
Sir, he cannot go,
bifurcating
sir.
on the basis of race or religion. That's the
Sir,
reason.
it is permitted, sir. You can do. He cannot go.
I mean,
Yes,
if
Avinash, you were saying something?
Discrimination.
Sir, like if it is your private property, you can do, sir. He cannot go to High Court against that. If it is not
Yeah,
funded by the
exactly.
state.
Please remember this thing, because I was allowing them willingly. Okay, but what if there is nobody? Say there is a bell and it does not belong to anyone. It is on the some road, and no one has any right over any claim or anything on it, and public people are going and coming, and suddenly what happens, that people from a particular community, from X community, comes up and they say that we will not allow community by to draw water from this well. Then these people can go. They'll say that it is a kind of public property which is being used by for decades by everybody without any discrimination. And suddenly, Mr. X, this community, people from community X comes up and they are just restricting us. So this is basically nothing but discrimination. Then they can go. But if it is my private property, I can see, if it is my home, there is a hand pump. You understand what is hand pump?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so there is a hand pump, okay, in my property, and there are people from all the box of life. They are coming and they are drinking water, and suddenly this came to my mind that now I want to allow some people from some caste or some race to drink water. That is my choice, because that property belongs to me, and no one can enter in my property without my permission. But if it doesn't belong to me, then I cannot say anything. So remember all these things. These are some basic things, but you need to understand. हमें ये नहीं देखना है कि discrimination we have to go by word, because it is saying dedicated to the use of general public. समझ में आया ना आपको?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so many
Yes, sir.
times, like if you go by the heart and the things, it may turn out wrong, sir. But according to the
Yes.
legal, it is wrong.
Yes. So this is what Article 15.2 talks about, that it says that no citizen shall be subject to any disability, liability, restriction, or condition on these 5 grounds: race, religion, sex, caste, and place of birth. So I want to ask one thing. It is saying place of birth. What if I discriminate on the basis of domicile? Can I do it?
Sir, only
Yes,
Parliament can
yes.
do it.
I mean, say I'm parliament. Assume this. Don't take it because I'm just taking example. Don't take it literally. I'm just simply saying. So, say for example, I'm some DM or somebody, some chief minister or somebody, some part of executive, and now I'm discriminating. I'm formulating a policy that those who have domicile of NCT means National Capital Territory, they can apply for this job, and those who do not have, they cannot. So, whether I can do it or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can.
So
Yes,
Yes,
state
sir.
can't formulate that policy.
Parliament or state can.
By state can't
They can
formulate
formulate.
right now. Didn't you hear that Madhya Pradesh government said that we'll allow only Madhya Pradesh people, and there are some other state also. They said that these many
Haryana,
jobs will be
sir.
reserved on.
Son of
Yes,
soil doctor.
yeah, son of
Haryana
soil,
reservation quota.
Haryana reservation in
even for
Assam. There are
fellowships,
lot. Yes,
even for the fellowships, the
yeah,
domicile.
exactly.
Yes.
But so they are saying we are not discriminating on the basis of place of birth. What we are saying domicile and place of birth both are different thing. So say for example, you may be born in Delhi. Okay, but what happens that your parents is an IAS officer and he works in Tamil Nadu, and you have been staying in Tamil Nadu maybe 20 years. So there is a vacancy in Delhi for assistant professor in some college of Delhi, okay, maybe say IP University. And then what happens that you apply, so they say, no, no, you cannot apply because you don't have domicile of Delhi. So you say, then you say, I'm born in Delhi. So they say, being born is different thing, but having domicile is totally different thing. To get the domicile of some place, you need to stay in that area for some year. And maybe if I'm not wrong, then it's a 3 year.
It varies from
7 years.
state to state.
Yeah, but it's almost around 3 year or something like that. So this is the case. So on the ground of domicile, you can challenge it. Clear? Now we'll talk about Article 15.3, 15.4, and 15.5. So anybody who can talk about 15.3?
Special provision for women and children.
Yes. Can you please little bit explain it also?
It basically provide that if the state is formulating the policy for the women and children, for the welfare of women and children, that then it cannot be challenged as discrimination.
So can you name maybe one or two acts?
Like education rights for children, like till the 6 year, till 14 years, or maternity benefit for women.
Yes, exactly.
Reservation for women.
Panchayat Raj.
Yes. And they have come up with this law also. Have you heard about Visakha guidelines?
Yes, sir.
At workplace.
Yes, sir.
Harassment at
Yes,
workplace.
exactly. Sexual harassment at workplace. So if anyone can explain it.
Sir,
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
sir, in the case of local job reservation, if we were talking about that, sir, I want to add little points about it that it cannot pass the legal scrutiny because it is a violation of Article 16 because it basically provides right to equal opportunity and also of
No.
Article 14.
See,
And
the thing
Article
is,
16 doesn't provide
no,
the power to the state legislature to make laws. It only provides the powers to the only parliament that they can make laws in the region of reservation in the jobs.
Yes, sir, I remember reading it.
so whatever you remember reading, but you did not understand then what I said. I said that they have come up with some provision, okay, and they are actually not amending fundamental rights. Understand the fact. They are not amending fundamental rights. Actually, whatever given in fundamental right, they are doing things accordingly. Did you understand?
So means ki, they are not challenging fundamental, but it can be challenged, na sir?
You can challenge anything. Right now this EWS quota have come up and it is pending, it is sub judice in Supreme Court. Whatever you want, you can challenge in Supreme Court, provided you have money to pay cost. Because if Supreme Court found it that it is nonsense, then they put cost also, maybe 10 lakh, 50 lakh, whatever they want. So you can go Supreme Court for everything.
And
But
so one point for my intention is ki it is dangerous for the integrity and unity of India, because it will
we should,
open a Pandora box for all the state that they will implement same policy in every sector, and in also including the private sector, which will create the diversity and
no,
structure of our India.
we should not discuss that thing because that is very much political in the nature. So we
No,
won't
sir,
discuss
I'm not
that.
talking about political. I'm just sharing my thoughts, sir.
No, you are sharing your thoughts, but those thoughts are political. If you think about them, then these divide and all these things are political in the nature. Okay, most of the policies come up to divide people. So let's not talk that, because if we start talking those things, then we'll waste a lot of time. Now we'll talk
Okay,
about
sir.
yeah. So I was talking about Visakha guidelines also. So I remember a case reading. So in this case, what happened, that there was a guy who was accused under Article 354. So 354 basically talks about sexual harassment. So this guy goes to court and he says that this girl also harassed me. So there is no law for men, but there is a law for women. So this law is unconstitutional. Either there should be law for me also, otherwise women also should not have law, because it actually violates Article 14. So court has actually did not consider his argument, and court said that each and every day women are being subject to multiple kinds of harassment. Okay, be it sexual, be it mental, be it physical, any all kind of harassment. And tell me how many men are being harassed? Hardly. And that is the reason we are having this provision, and Article 15.3 gives us power. And then Supreme Court said that and in this case of Visakha, Supreme Court formulated guidelines also, that these are the guidelines which should be actually being followed at workplace when it comes to women. Okay.
Sir, it came as a background for Bhavari Devi case.
Yes.
Sir, one doubt.
Yes.
Sir, is there any difference between domicile and residence?
Yes, there is a difference.
So what is the difference?
I'm
Sir, time. How long you
one
are
more
living?
thing. It's very simple thing. For domicile, you need to reside in some place for some particular time. Okay, time frame. But residence can be temporary or permanent, any kind of residence it can be. You may be staying for some place for 6 months, for 12 months. Okay. But for domicile, it means that you are staying in that place for quite long time. So this is one difference.
So, sir, when it comes in the matter of public employment, under Article 15, both
No,
domicile
no, it's
and
not. It's not 15. It's Article 16, and we'll discuss. We are coming on that. Then we'll discuss it. Is it okay?
okay, sir. So,
Because
but
if
under
we,
Article
if
15, other than public employment, in Article 15, domicile and residence they can be considered as grounds for discrimination.
yes, they can be in educational institution.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Now we'll discuss Article 15.4 of the Constitution. So anyone, if you can tell me about 15.4.
The state can make special provision for backward classes.
Okay.
Scheduled castes and scheduled tribes also.
So where we can get definition of backward classes? Is there any definition in Supreme Court? So, I mean in Constitution?
No, sir.
What about these two terms?
Sir, they are
No,
defined
sir.
by President from time to time, scheduled tribes.
But Supreme Court has given a definition. I mean, what is backwardness? Supreme Court has given some test. And can you please tell me the name of that case?
Sir, M.
Mandal
Nagraj versus Union of India, sir.
अरे वो केस तो वो दूसरा है अभी वो सब
Mandal
रिजर्वेशन हाँ
case, sir.
मंडल केस है मंडल केस इसको इस केस में जो है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने था बैकवर्डनेस के बारे में और इसकी ठीक ठाक सी डेफिनेशन दी थी तो वही था कि भाई इसमें कुछ जाना तो था नहीं और इस केस का नाम था इंदिरा सोहाने वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया The case name was Indira Sohane versus Union of India. So in this case, Supreme Court this 27% reservation for OBCs and Supreme 50% limit. They said that the Supreme Court said that the maximum reservation can be 50%. So now I want to ask one question that if I'm not wrong, data may be little bit here and there. So you just check it out once again. Tamil Nadu has 69%. Maharashtra has around 52%. Telangana also is having 62% and Haryana is having 67%. So the Supreme Court put the ceiling of 50%. However, these states are having more than 50%. So what is the reason this? Is this not unconstitutional?
They've put that in schedule
They are
9.
placed in 9.
Anybody, if you can correctly tell me.
Sir, in case of
Okay, so somebody was talking about Schedule 9. So for that, I'll give you an argument. I'll say that it is also those laws which are placed under Schedule 9, they can also be challenged if they are violative of the fundamental right or constitution.
Sir, recently this has come up to Supreme Court also, and Supreme Court is about to decide whether we have to breach 50% margin or not. Whether it is going
But
to be
Tamil Nadu is having for quite long time 69%. Pardon?
Tamil Nadu and some states have already breached the 50% quota, sir.
Yes.
Judicial review for Schedule 9 is only after Keshwananda Bharati case. Before that.
Schedule 9 has nothing to do with it. Okay. So,
Well Commission's judgment, Supreme Court said that there are some exceptions in which cases the 50% ceiling can be broken. So that might be the reason.
yes, exactly. They have their actually validity in Supreme Court's judgment itself, and in this Indira Sohani judgment itself also, because Supreme Court provided guidelines to exceed the limit of reservation, but Supreme Court said that there should be extraordinary situation, then only this limit can be breached. In this case itself, Supreme Court had said this thing. Thereafter, they have gone through it. Now, what is being challenged, that whether there are extraordinary situation or not, that is being challenged. Did you understand?
So whether the criteria are met or not before giving the reservation.
Yes.
There should be certain percentage of representation missing.
Many things are there. Those things are subjective, so we will not discuss. But simply, I have said that if the court said that there should be extraordinary situation, and the problem is, court has come up with some guidelines also, so they are not important for us. Therefore, we won't discuss them. But this is the thing which the court had said. So now, actually, can you please tell me that from where Article 15 derive its entire power? From where?
Article 14?
Yes, exactly. How?
Article 14, you can say, is that the aim that what we want equality, whereas we are implementing it through Article 15 by not doing discrimination.
Exactly. So the thing is that at first thing, 15.1, when we are talking about 15.1, so 15.1 is for basically to maintain the equality, and it forbids the 15.1 and 15.2. So it tries to maintain the equality and it forbids the practice of discrimination. But when we are talking about 15.3, 15.4, 15.5, then it says to provide equality. Did you understand? First thing, to maintain the equality. Second thing, to provide equality. Are you able to distinguish both these things?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
To maintain the equality, first thing. Second thing, to provide. Okay, so anyone, I'll ask somebody, because there are people who are not speaking at all. Shilpa Saha. Shilpa, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you please explain how Article 15 is providing equality?
Sir, through Article 15.1, sure, come. Article 15.1 and Article 15.2 like prohibit state and individual from discrimination, and at the same time Article 15 bracket 3, 4 and 5, they are actually providing provisions to
No,
maintain the.
you did not understand question. The first thing is that I did not ask. I am asking how it is providing equality. I am asking providing equality, not maintaining it.
Okay, so providing equality, so by providing the provisions like Article 15.3, like special provision for women and children, and for the socially and educationally backward people, they are providing special provision, and 15 reservation seat, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. Now you are on the right track. Okay. Yeah. Very nice. So, did you understand Article 15?
Yes, sir.
If anyone has any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, should we discuss right now, because it's been already 65 minutes, sorry, 75 minutes since we have been talking, or we can talk more. We can discuss Article 17, 16, 17, 18, or maybe we can discuss tomorrow if you want. What do you say?
Sir, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Okay, we'll discuss. Tomorrow is Sunday. What if we discuss in the afternoon? What do you say? Maybe we can take 2 sessions, so where we can complete one session in the afternoon, maybe around 2 or 3, another session in the night, same time 9, because already we are lagging behind, and I wanted to discuss tomorrow Article 20 to 24. So if we can discuss these four article 16, 17, 18, 19 tomorrow, then tomorrow in the afternoon, then in the evening we can discuss other four. What do you say? Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
अभी somebody is asking कि आर्टिकल की नोट्स भी मिलेगा क्या? नोट्स नहीं है भाई, इसमें ऐसे ही पढ़ा रहा हूँ, ऐसे ही बता रहा हूँ, मतलब पढ़ा भी नहीं रहा हूँ, डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ चीजें. Okay, so tomorrow 3 p.m. is okay for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
First session 3 p.m, second session 9 p.m.
ओके सर.
ठीक है. अभी आपको
सर
इतना
आज मैं लेट आया, पता इंटरनेट कारणों से वाईफाई ठीक से नहीं चल रहा, तो सर क्या इसका एक मिल सकता है सर, मतलब वीडियो यूट्यूब में?
रिकॉर्डिंग?
जी सर, अगर आप अपलोड कर पाए सर, अगर पॉसिबल है.
रिकॉर्ड तो मैं कर रहा हूँ.